moving to the other side now is Indiana, right? Or maybe Cole Anthony gets bought out, or know, whoever gets bought out, right? Sure. Like there are names that will get bought out, and they'll have options, right? But let's move to Indiana real quick. This is a huge loss for Indiana, if only because they now are on the clock over the next year to find a big.
Yeah.
I don't think that obviously they'd like to have a big for this year, right? They're probably have to bring back like a Thomas Bryant or they've tendered a qualifying offer to Isaiah Jackson, but something like that, right?
Yep.
An undervalued player. I'm of two minds on this for Indiana. I wish they had kept this thing together. I think Myles Turner is the perfect big to run within this scheme. I also have real concerns about how Myles Turner is going to age, and giving him a 4-year, $107 million deal. If you're not going to want to go super heavy into the tax, feels somewhat concerning to me, in all honesty. I don't know, like where do you stand on all of this with them? Because I wish they had gone into the tax to keep the team together, because I loved watching this team and I truly adored it. But I kind of get it on some level too.
So this is the ultimate test to me whenever people are like, why would you sign that guy? Why would you pay that guy that? Why would you do that? Okay, well, let's see. Because now we're seeing the other side of it. When you don't pay that guy, how do you replace him? Because you can't just not replace Myles Turner, right?
They have no center on the roster right now.
No center on the roster.
Or something.
They have to, and to me, I don't really care what they do this year now. They're not going to replace Myles Turner this year and be that level of competitive basketball team when you lose what I think is definitely your most important player and best player. And then Turner is tied for third with a couple names, right? One other name, whatever. Maybe by himself, depending on who you ask. So it's just an interesting case of, and if they aren't able to figure it out, this is why you may give somebody $25 million a year when they're going into their 30s, even if you don't love it, because replacing them isn't always that easy. Now, maybe they will find it. But to me, you said it. Start preparing. If I'm Indiana, I'm not trying to lose games, but I'm playing Jarris Walker minutes. I'm playing Ben Shepherd minutes, Furphy, all of these guys. Find out what I have, and then position myself for 26, 27 when Halliburton is back and healthy, and whatever that means. However I position myself to fill in this center roster, and whether that's I take some flyers on some guys this offseason, then I'm active on the trade market in season. I don't love that I'm going into next offseason, Sam, with the pressure of having to find one then. So the search starts now. I just don't know that is realistic right now. So take flyers on a couple young guys, see if you can at least find your backup center. Because to your point, you don't have center 1, 2, or 3 than when you go small with Obi Toppin.
So here would be my next question to you. What do you think of Myles Turner, the player, right now? We've kind of avoided that during the Milwaukee side of it. I thought Myles Turner was not quite as good on defense this year as what we've seen from him previously. We talked about that during the offseason preview for Indiana, right? Where we kind of assumed that they would keep him, but obviously they didn't. He obviously had a great offensive year, I think is the key. He had a very, very good offensive year. He averaged 15.6 points, shooting 48, 40, 77 from the field. Also, never has been a monster rebounder, right?
Biggest negative for me.
For me, the bigger negative is actually the passing and playmaking. I've never felt amazing about that. So really, you're talking about a big where the skill set is reliant upon him continuing to be able to move his feet, be really good on defense on the interior and knock down shots from the perimeter, right? And if you feel like one of those things is going to fall off, that feels relatively difficult to me in terms of like feeling good about guaranteeing him money.
Fair. I hadn't considered this as much because I guess when I see 29, I don't start thinking fall off yet. And I've considered what we saw in the playoffs more of like some sort of injury or whatever that we've never heard. So maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was just like the wear and tear of the season and back-to-back deep playoff runs. So this is an interesting idea here. And what I will say is nobody probably has better intel on that than the Indiana Pacers, right?
Absolutely true.
If they saw a 10% drop this year from the year before and are anticipating based on their knowledge of everything that they know about their own players, another 10% drop off. To your point, when does he become only a stretch big that isn't a short roll passer? He can hit a short roll jump shot, isn't a lob threat. And then all of a sudden, where I would consider him a good defender, but not great or elite defender, he's not all defense level conversation defender, that starts to fall. So like, I hadn't considered this side of it, but it is interesting. If that's what Indiana saw, I understand it a little bit more. I still just say like, what is the replacement? But maybe with the Halliburton injury, they felt okay with that because they didn't need to immediately replace it because like they're still not competing for the title next year, even if Turner comes back without Halliburton. So take the year and figure it out.
In terms of names, like I've been trying to think of names that can work here for Indiana at the big position. Would you move Jarris Walker for Goga Batadze?
Not right now.
Not right now. Just not worth it. He has a year left after this one.
Sam, I just wouldn't do it now. Like if Halliburton was healthy and Turner bounced, sure. I'm
for what it's worth, I don't do this either. Like I want to be clear. I'm just like it would take real asset on top of Batadze for me to do it. I'm just like trying to spitball different names that they could look at. Right?
I love Goga. Like, you know this. I love Goga. Like my thing is, I said this about Boston. My quote unquote silver lining for Indiana is now I have every reason to go. Like I will know this is a lost season for Indiana if they don't know 50 games into a healthy year of Jarris Walker, whether he's it or he's not. And maybe some fans already think they know. I don't know. But this is an opportunity. The silver lining is you can give these guys how many ever minutes you want and find out because they're still going to be playing with Pascal and Nembhard and Nesmith. So it's still a quality roster in regards to that if he can't play and show you something, you got to find out now. Like that is the one thing you can do now without anything else hanging over your head. So I wouldn't trade him before the deadline when I had that information.
Other center names that could like theoretically be on the market. I mean, I think that the Hawks probably keep Okongwu would be my read.
Yeah, I agree.
Look, one of the Mavs bigs like Daniel Gafford would make a ton of sense in this scheme, right?
Yeah. So,
and he is cheaper moving forward than what Turner was projecting to be at this point, and 3 years younger.
That name's interesting.
Like it's going to be like 8 million cheaper for Gafford than it would be for Turner, but you also have to give up assets for him.
Yep.
I mean, once you get lower than that, like if I'm Detroit, I probably want to keep Isaiah Stewart, right?
Yeah. And I don't know that Stu's a great fit for this system offensively. Like when I think of Isaiah Stewart, I don't think like transition, run, heavy ball, like running ball screens with Tyrese, move the ball, pop, pop, pop. And listen, you won't find a bigger Isaiah Stewart fan, but no.
I mean, another name here would be like Wendell Carter. Like,
so like
again, cheap.
You got me thinking about Gafford and I guess even Batadze. Like, I guess if I thought it was my center for the next 4 or 5, like truly not just a stopgap.
Yeah.
I still don't like it.
I mean, here's the name that I would chase if I was them.
Interesting.
I would probably try to do Yves Missi if I was them and find an answer. Like, they obviously just drafted Derek Queen. They just acquired Kevon Looney. I have real questions about Yves Missi's defense long term, but he's a great kid who, like, you hope will continue to learn. And my goodness, does he fit their scheme in terms of like playing up tempo and flying, right? Like getting up and down the court.
Yeah. So if you could call, if the Pelicans were out on Missi or whatever, and you could just like I don't know who on the Pacers roster, like, would you give up Ben Shepherd for that?
I probably would, because getting a big for 3 cheap years is incredibly important for Indiana, given what they seem to be doing here. But I understand if they have some hesitancy and reticence to do that, for sure.
So, I mean, I guess I've talked myself into now maybe my idea of letting these guys play and getting data isn't going to work. Like, you may just have to use one of them to go get this player like that. It may not be as feasible as what I just said.
The reason I bring up Missi particularly is because new front office didn't draft him.
Drafted their own big.
Drafted their own big in Derek Queen, who's a center. He's not a 4 really. Like, he is a center. That feels like an interesting name. And the last name we do actually really have to bring up here is DeAndre Ayton, given that DeAndre Ayton quite literally
has signed
an offer sheet with the Indiana Pacers 4 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And was almost Myles Turner's replacement then.
Yeah.
I would imagine that could be on the cards here.
Sure.
And it will make me lose my mind defensively. It will completely change them in that regard. But maybe you can get him, feeling a little bit better about playing defense and playing hard consistently. And like, the big thing is the screening. Like, I think that Rick Carlisle would absolutely lose his mind coaching DeAndre Ayton, but
maybe he'll coach
regardless.
Maybe he'll coach him up.
And look, here's the thing, because they did not pay Turner, I believe that they have space here, like, to be able to go and get a full mid-level.
I'd say they'd be the full non-tax, right?
They have the full non-tax mid-level.
Yeah. So
there are names here that can track, I think.
Yep.
But that's kind of the last of Indiana here. I mean, Indiana's in a good position, I would argue. But they have a year to find a center now.
Yeah.
And, maybe it's DeAndre Ayton for 1 year on a stopgap. Like, it's a 2 for 28 and it's a team option on the second year or something like that. Like, that'd be good. Yeah. I brought up Mo Wagner earlier. Mo Wagner would be a good name for them, I think. Did I bring that up earlier on this, or did I bring that up on a call with somebody earlier?
That must have been on a phone call. You brought up every Orlando Magic center except for Mo Wagner.
Mo Wagner's a free agent. Like, he's coming off of an ACL injury, obviously, but Wagner is a good name for them at like $5 or $6 million, I think. Like, he fits what they do in a big way.
You don't think he's back in Orlando?
I'm kind of assuming, but they can pay him more than Orlando can now.
Okay.
I mean, look, like, the family doesn't need a lot of money with Franz doing as well as he is, but like, the same token, I don't know. And here's the other thing too. Like, Ron Burgundy 79 brings this up. I have no reason to doubt the Pacers front office right now. They've been genuinely great over the last 2 years, and they've built this team. Like, they've done an amazing job of building this team. I think that they are in a very strong position here to figure this out. And I do trust them to figure it out. They have all of their own picks. They have interesting young players in Ben Mathurin, Jarris Walker, Ben Shepherd. They can move those guys. They can move picks. They can get a real big by the time Halliburton comes back. But you don't need one right now. You can do the stopgap DeAndre Ayton if you need to, and then figure it out in a year.
Yeah. No, they have time. They don't have to do it right now. And I think I would prefer they didn't. Like, I almost wonder if waiting till the deadline is the time to do it. It would make me a little nervous to go into the summer without an answer, but I also don't want them forcing things. So they have time. Like, that's the nice thing, is they're not having to pivot in 2 days, right? Like, they didn't get blindsided this morning and then have to have an answer by tonight, right? And then now you're overpaying for Nick Claxton or, Daniel Gafford or whoever. Not saying that those would be bad names. Like, I quite like Daniel Gafford, but you're not having to do that. And it's a great point. We've given the Pacers front office love, I feel like, for how they've
totally.
like, as much as we gave OKC love for everything they do, we've made the same points about Indiana's top-down approach and making smart decisions as well. So it's a fair point that there's no reason not to trust them to figure this thing out.
Yeah. And look, maybe Isaiah Jackson comes back and he's really valuable in some respect after his Achilles injury. They have options and they can afford to be patient. I think that the patience piece of this is the key, though. If something comes available, like if they find out that Yves Missi is just like out of favor in New Orleans for whatever reason, and to me, there's like every reason to think that every action at this point that the Pelicans front office has made, saying that they're keeping Zion, drafting Derek Queen and trading like a real asset for him, signing Kevon Looney, right? Like, all of this says that they might not be as in on him as what you would think. If that's a player that I could go get for a reasonable price tag, I would do it. Right. Yep. Like that. But it's, you can take your time over the next year and pick your spot.
Yep.
I think is the key if you're Indiana.
Sure. They definitely have time. Yep.